Elizabeth Ali MacGraw was formerly the very image of purity in the world of motion pictures, the youthful actress whose portrayal in a romance story characterized an entire generation. However, away from the spotlight, her own personal history was considerably more tragic than any screen role she ever took on. At the peak of her renown, she discovered herself drawn into the sphere of Steve McQueen, the man the planet admired as the embodiment of cool. Their courtship started like a perfect fable, but it swiftly devolved into a span of years consumed by possessiveness, domination, and misery. Now, in her advanced age, MacGraw reflects upon the relationship that both captivated and devastated her, with disclosures that still surprise enthusiasts of classic cinema. The ascent of Ali MacGraw and her connection to Robert Evans. Ali MacGraw's journey toward global recognition began far from the lavish events of Los Angeles. Born in Bedford Village, New York, she spent her formative years in a home marked by turmoil and instability, where her father struggled with alcohol dependence and her parents' constant conflicts left her grappling with self-esteem from an extremely early age. Searching for an escape, she pursued modeling, and under the mentorship of editor Diana Vreeland, she successfully entered the fashion industry. This move provided an opening to motion pictures, with her debut screen role arriving in the year 1969's Farewell, Columbus. The light-hearted love story became a sensation, and MacGraw's acting captured the attention of influential people in the film industry. It was during this phase that she encountered Robert Evans, an accomplished executive producer who was at that time the leader of production at Paramount Pictures. Evans recognized something truly exceptional in the young performer and made the choice to cast her in a romance story. Released in the year 1970, the feature film developed into a cultural phenomenon with its poignant summary statement, "Affection signifies never needing to apologize." The movie earned more than $100 million internationally and instantly elevated MacGraw into one of the most desired actresses of that decade. Her depiction of Jenny, the ill-fated co-ed who won the affection of Ryan O'Neal, cemented her status as a principal star. Behind the scenes, her relationship with Evans developed quickly. They exchanged marriage vows in the year 1969, and in the year 1971, they greeted their sole child, Joshua. On both a professional and personal level, it appeared as though Ali MacGraw possessed everything: a blossoming profession, a commanding spouse, and the delight of motherhood. Yet fate was on the verge of guiding her in an alternate direction. By the year 1972, the film community was talking about The Escape, an action motion picture directed by Sam Peckinpah and featuring Steve McQueen. Evans secured the part of McQueen's wife for MacGraw, a choice that would permanently alter the trajectory of her existence. Initially, she paused, expressing concern about leaving her young son, but as she subsequently confessed in her year 1991 autobiography, Shifting Images, the authentic motive was different. She already intuited the inherent risk of collaborating so intimately with McQueen. "I knew I was going to encounter some grave difficulty with Steve," she admitted, and her apprehension was justified. The escape and the affair that transformed all things. When Ali MacGraw stepped onto the set of The Escape in the year 1972, she remained lawfully married to Robert Evans, and Steve McQueen was already a worldwide icon. McQueen, who was 12 years her elder, carried the magnetic quality of a person who had overcome hardship. From a difficult childhood defined by desertion to his ascent as Hollywood's quintessential non-traditional hero, he represented danger, insubordination, and personal charm. For viewers, he was the icon of coolness, a figure who effortlessly incorporated his zeal for motorbikes and racing vehicles into his public identity. For MacGraw, he was alluring, nearly impossible to resist. From the very start, their rapport was unquestionable. MacGraw would later describe it as purely chemical, stating that when McQueen walked into an area, both men and women and youngsters alike would turn their gaze. He possessed a commanding presence that absorbed everything nearby, and MacGraw, despite being married to Evans, was immediately pulled into his world. Their romantic involvement commenced soon after the filming started in Texas, and it rapidly became the most widely discussed liaison in Hollywood. The publicity surrounding their involvement increased fascination in The Escape, which ultimately became a monetary triumph at the box office. But while admirers and the press celebrated the intensity between the two co-stars, the private repercussions were considerably more intricate. By the conclusion of the year 1972, MacGraw initiated divorce proceedings against Evans, a scandalous event that echoed throughout the motion picture industry. Evans, who had granted her the role that brought her renown, was completely taken aback by the unfaithfulness. Their separation later served as a secondary narrative in the proposal, the Paramount Plus program focusing on Evans and the production of The Godfather. In July of the year 1973, Ali MacGraw and Steve McQueen exchanged vows. Their matrimony possessed the polish of a Hollywood fantasy, but the actual situation was significantly less storybook-like. McQueen demanded that MacGraw sign a contract before the wedding, guaranteeing she would not request money in the event of a divorce. More significantly, he insisted that she totally abandon her acting profession. At the absolute apex of her recognition, MacGraw stepped away from the film industry to satisfy his demands. She later admitted that she consented out of the fear of losing him, even though it meant silencing her own professional aspirations. Existence with Steve McQueen: dominance, jealousy, and self-denial. Initially, their life as a married couple in Malibu appeared ideal. Ali MacGraw and Steve McQueen settled into a secluded residence by the sea where they hosted outdoor gatherings, took leisurely walks along the shore, and appreciated the companionship of a small circle of trusted companions. To the external community, they looked like a glamorous celebrity pairing living an enviable life, but behind closed doors, flaws quickly began to appear. McQueen carried profound emotional scars from his youth. Abandoned by his father and later sent away by his mother, he developed a deep-seated distrust, particularly toward women. Those insecurities re-emerged in his marriage. MacGraw remembered that his jealousy was perpetual, igniting even if she simply looked at another man. Yet, in a contradiction, McQueen himself openly showed interest in other women and was rumored to have had numerous affairs during their time together. One of the most painful sacrifices for MacGraw was relinquishing her career. McQueen, who was at that time the world's most highly compensated actor, informed her he did not want a wife who worked. "He was the biggest movie star in the world and he didn't want me to work," she confessed many years later. Out of affection and the fear of his departure, she walked away from Hollywood. Instead of attending movie premieres and collaborating on new screenplays, she transitioned into a dedicated homemaker, raising her son Josh from her previous marriage to Robert Evans, while tending to McQueen's requirements. In her personal history, she admitted she pretended to be a culinary expert, domestic helper, and unassuming woman to the utmost degree. The isolation started to affect her emotionally. Although she adored McQueen, his necessity for control made her feel increasingly confined. His substance misuse only made the circumstances worse. He was notorious for heavy consumption of alcohol and the use of illicit substances, while she herself started to contend with her own alcohol dependency. What had commenced as a love story full of intensity slowly turned into a relationship obscured by doubt, hostility, and unspoken resentment. By the middle 1970s, the fantasy had fallen apart. Their dwelling, once a haven, was now permeated with anxiety and silence. MacGraw later reflected that she was petrified of being forsaken if she ever voiced her authentic thoughts, so instead of asserting herself, she stayed silent and suffered privately. The separation and McQueen's deterioration. By the year 1976, the tension in Ali MacGraw and Steve McQueen's marriage could no longer be concealed. On promotional posters and magazine covers, McQueen remained Hollywood's unconquerable tough guy, the individual who caused countless people to dream of freedom behind the steering wheel of a Mustang in Bullitt or on a motorcycle in The Grand Escape. But at home, the truth was significantly less heroic. His addictions had tightened their hold on him. He routinely vanished into evenings of excessive drinking, drugs, and wild socializing, returning home erratic, distant, or suspicious. For MacGraw, who had already surrendered her autonomy to fulfill his demands, the loneliness was crippling. She began drinking more frequently herself, searching for solace, but only sinking deeper into misery. The rumors of McQueen's cheating tormented her. Accounts of brief encounters with other women circulated rapidly within Hollywood social circles. Initially, she held on to denial, persuading herself that the captivating man she had once adored was still present, concealed beneath the hostility and disorder. But soon the gossip became too persistent to disregard. The shame was overwhelming. Feeling unwanted and desperate for some measure of emotional comfort, she admitted years later that she too started seeking companionship outside of the marriage. What had once been an intense union now degraded into a pattern of infidelity and bitterness, with each offense causing more profound anguish than the last. By the year 1977, MacGraw's endurance was exhausted. She informed McQueen she intended to resume acting to recapture the professional life she had given up at the pinnacle of her success. Her admission was not merely a wish for employment, but also a declaration of her individual identity. After a long period of suppression, McQueen's response was cold and final. According to biographer Mark Elliott, he informed her, "In that situation, we will be seeking a legal separation." Those words demolished whatever remaining illusion she held. They confirmed her greatest apprehension that her opinions and choices had never truly mattered to him. Resolved to stand on her own again, MacGraw accepted a part in Convoy, directed by Sam Peckinpah. The decision made reconciliation impossible. Though they briefly attempted to mend their relationship, trust had already vanished. In the year 1978, after 5 years characterized as much by manipulation and possessiveness as by devotion, the divorce was finalized. Only 2 years later, tragedy occurred. In the year 1980, at the age of 50, Steve McQueen succumbed to pleural mesothelioma, a rare malignancy caused by exposure to asbestos. His sickness shocked the film community and devastated those nearest to him. For MacGraw, the sorrow was complicated. Despite the hostility, the infidelities, and the anguish, she had genuinely loved him. Looking back decades later, she admitted, "I wish we had both matured in sobriety." It was a heartbreaking acknowledgement of the existence they could never attain, a vision perpetually lost to substance dependency, arrogance, and a premature passing. Existence following. Steve. Addiction, recovery, and transformation. When Steve McQueen passed away in November of the year 1980, Ali MacGraw was only 41 years old, in a sense a widow, even though their marriage had previously concluded. His passing shook her profoundly. For many years, she had feared being left alone, yet nothing could have prepared her for the finality of death. Despite their acrimonious split, she admitted she had cared for him deeply, and his absence left a vacuum that troubled her. The agony of what they had endured and what they had forfeited fueled her own increasing reliance on alcohol. Professionally, she endeavored to move forward. She undertook new projects, including a role in the year 1978 motion picture Convoy, and subsequently a 14-episode run in the primetime television serial Dynasty in the year 1984. But the dazzle of her earlier prominence was absent. Hollywood had moved on, and MacGraw found herself categorized in stereotypes or ignored. More significantly, she no longer possessed the energy to contend for her position in an industry that had previously designated her its brightest emerging sensation. By the early 1990s, her private difficulties reached a critical point. Alcohol, which had once offered comfort, had become a prison. Recognizing that she was on a self-destructive course, MacGraw checked into a rehabilitation program at the Betty Ford Center. There, she commenced the lengthy journey of healing, facing not only her dependency, but also the emotional wounds inflicted by her marriages, her lost career, and her years with McQueen. It represented a fundamental change, one that permitted her to take back control of her life after many decades of chaos. In the year 1991, she published her autobiography, Shifting Images, Truthful and Unwavering. The book exposed her painful upbringing, her turbulent relationships, and the cost of achieving fame. It quickly became a top-selling title, connecting with readers who saw in her narrative a mirror of their own battles with romance, loss, and substance abuse. By the year 1994, she departed from Hollywood entirely, relocating to Santa Fe, New Mexico. She exchanged sound stages for tranquil days filled with painting, gardening, and spiritual practices. It was in that location, far removed from the disorder of the entertainment business, that Ali MacGraw started to genuinely mend. Reflection, sobriety, and life at 85. In Santa Fe, Ali MacGraw discovered the tranquility that had escaped her for many years. Away from the media, she dedicated herself to abstinence, well-being, and a modest lifestyle. She routinely practiced yoga and contemplation, tended her garden, and surrounded herself with domesticated creatures. After years of turmoil, she realized that recovery necessitated isolation and stillness. She has now been sober for more than 30 years, an accomplishment she once considered unattainable. "I used to reframe the past, fantasize about the future," she observed. "But now, I believe in living completely to the best possible extent of my capabilities. I feel tremendously fortunate." MacGraw never remarried, opting instead to concentrate on personal exploration. Her enduring bonds became her sources of support, including her renewed association with a romance story co-star Ryan O'Neal, with whom she reunited on stage in the year 2016 for a traveling performance of Correspondence of Love. Their effortless synergy reminded spectators of the magic that had once made them widely known public figures. But for MacGraw, it was simply a reminder that certain connections persist even as life transforms. She also redirected her creative energy into fresh interests. Collaborating with Ibu, a clothing cooperative that partners with female craftspeople around the world, she assisted in developing apparel collections that celebrate artistry and empower women. For a woman who once surrendered her professional life to conform to someone else's expectations, this endeavor symbolized an opportunity to define her unique path, one established on autonomy rather than concession. Even currently, at 85 years of age, she continues to speak openly about her history. She has never denied the potent attraction of Steve McQueen, describing him as chemical and acknowledging that she knew trouble was unavoidable the instant they met. But she also avoids romanticizing what followed. There were beautiful days and horrible days, she has mentioned. I'm not a casualty in any respect. There were numerous occasions that were just marvelous, and there were numerous occasions that were just terrible. And her sincerity has given her tale a significance beyond Hollywood. Ali MacGraw is no longer simply the young woman from a romance story. She is a survivor who endured renown, heartbreak, dependence, and sorrow, and emerged with the fortitude to finally reveal her truth. Ali MacGraw's recollections of Steve McQueen are filled with both affection and sorrow, a reminder that even the most alluring romances can conceal intolerable struggles.